Hello, welcome back to the workshop. What have I been up to? Not a lot, because the day job's been taking up quite a lot of my time, so I've not had an awful lot of time to come out here. But I'll show you what we have achieved up to now. As you can see in front of me, there are a couple of new pieces. There's a new piston that's come in, a 40 thou oversized piston, and also the new rod kit has come in as well, with the new big end bearing and crank pin. So when we get on with rebuilding the crank, we've got the bits. And speaking of which, we've done a little bit of tool making. This piece here, my son Thomas got involved with making this, a little bit of smiling and filing. It's just a bit of mild steel plate with some box section welded on, and that is going to be the crank splitter, or it is the crank splitter. And how that works is it just slots in between the crank wheels, and when it sits on the hydraulic press, it will isolate the crank wheels from each other, so that basically you're only pressing the pin out of one side at a time, not trying to force it through both, which is would take an awful lot more force. And as you can see on the BSA, they've got a stepped crank pin, so it wouldn't work anyway. You can't drive it all the way through. But yeah, that's just a little support that we made, which will help us to get the crank apart. So that's that bit. Also with the crank, we're going to use this piece of aluminium. It's just a bit of 2024. This is going to be the mandrel for pressing out the crank pin. So it just needs a bit more turning down. This is just a bit out of the scrap box. It's already sort of almost to diameter. This is about inch. That's about 3/4. It's a 3/4 inch crank pin. So I'll just take that down a little bit more, a little bit longer, and just leave a little bit of a pip on the end, and then that will go between the hydraulic press and the crank pin, and being aluminium, it won't cause any damage. So that's that piece. Again, Thomas might get involved with a little bit of turning and do that piece for us, so if he does, then I'll try and get that filmed, and that'll be an interesting thing to watch. A little bit of lathe work. Move that out of the way, and then staying with the crank, I've got these two. Sorry, just squashing things under my feet. I've got these two bits of laser cut steel, and these are going to be the crank assembly jig. And the idea is that we'll have 3 holes in each plate, identical, 2 rods sticking up. Let me get that rod. So there'll be a rod here and a rod here. Crank will sit in the middle, and then the plate on the top will bring the second crank wheel down into line, and the 2 rods will keep everything lined up as the crank wheels basically come together over the new crank pin. That's the idea anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack weld them together, and then I'm going to machine all the holes, so there'll be a 750 thou hole in the middle for the crank journal, and then I've got some 20mm stainless steel rod, which is going to make the 2 upright pins. And so if they're welded together, all machined together, everything will be nice and concentric, and that will be our crank fixture. I've seen sort of similar things. I've seen them with 3 pins, but I'm kind of limited by what I can get on my sort of small to medium sized machines. So we decided to go with 2 pins, and I think that I don't think it'll be perfect. There'll be a little bit of truing up to do with the old lead mallet, but I think it'll be fine. So that's another little project that we'll be getting on with, hopefully in the very near future. Now then, I just want to show you a couple more bits of kit that have appeared in the workshop. We've got the Tig Welder, has come back from repair. This is a nice little unit that my brother gave me. and I had a problem with it because the HF start wouldn't work. So I sent it away to a company up in York, and they've repaired it, and that works fine now. So the only problem that I have now is my ability. So a bit of practice with the welder, and hopefully that'll be an asset to the workshop. And then one more thing, excuse my clumsy camera action. Over here we have, nestling in the corner behind the bantam, excuse me, we have a press. It's a 12-ton press. It came from that company there, CJ Autos, who are a garage equipment specialist over here in the UK. I've had a couple of bits and pieces from them. The parts washer there came from them, and I think the workbench did as well. I can't quite remember, but anyway, they're quite a good company to deal with, I find, and it wasn't terribly expensive. And I don't know if any of you know Bones over at Oz Bantams in Australia. He has a similar size press, and he does bantam cranks. So hopefully it'll have the minerals to press the crank apart. So we'll see. Okay. That is about it for tonight. Not much more to tell you really. Hopefully we'll get on with that little bit of lathe work, and let's straighten the camera up. There we go. Yeah, get on with that little bit of lathe work and get on with making the crank fixture, and yeah, it could be a couple of quite interesting videos coming up. So I shall leave you there, and thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next video.